And we're dealing right now with a lot of changes that have come about because of the coronavirus. However, there's some things that I really wanted to keep within the curriculum that we have. So far, we have draped the jacket, the four panels of the jacket, and our next step is to do the two-piece sleeve. Um, Now, with the two-piece sleeve, I have sent you a printed instructions for making the two-piece sleeve. It's a little complicated, so therefore I'm going to actually demonstrate it to you. First of all, we're going to talk about what's needed to do the sleeve. We need our tools, of course. Our tools, I'll show you what I use to accomplish everything that we need to do for the jacket. Of course, first of all, we need scissors. I have two different curves here. This curve right here would be the one that you're using most of all, so that you can use this one. This is also a larger curve. It's also a French curve, but it's a larger curve, and that works very well as well. And of course, we have to have our ruler, our pens, pencils, of course, and this time we also have to add Scotch tape. I think I've named everything that we need as we go along. We'll see. I'm going to really start out by giving you the first half of the instructions that you got. I'm going to show you how that goes together, or how to do that. First of all, you need paper. Now, that may be a problem as well. Hopefully you all have pattern making paper, but let's say you don't. If you don't have pattern making paper, the size that we need is about 25 to 27 inches in length, and the width is about maybe 18 inches in width. So you can actually put pieces of your white paper that you use for your for doing the rest of your work, working on your projects. This is just plain white paper, and I took 6 sheets and just took my Scotch tape and taped them together. So this is exactly what we need. So we've made our first change in order to accommodate the project that we're doing. So let me put this aside, and I'm going to work on the one that's the actual pattern making paper. Now, after you have this piece, which is, again, as I said before, it's going to measure about 18 inches in width and about 25 inches in length. And the first thing you're going to do is to fold it in half the long way. Let's do that. This is good. Now, we're folding it in half because actually we're making a half sleeve, and we'll open it up shortly so that you can see the whole sleeve. Now, you do have to take some measurements, so therefore you need your tape measure. I'm going to take the 4-paneled jacket that we've already draped and pinned together. I think I will send you some images to show you how actually it looks pinning the side seams together, because I think we pinned all of the panels together, but we haven't pinned the side seam and the shoulder together, which is basically, it's very simple, but I'd like for you to see how it's done. All right, so we have that done, and the next thing we need to do is to find the circumference of our sleeve. In order to do that, we're going to have to use, of course, the tape measure. Tape measure is much better than using the ruler, but if this is all you have, you're going to have to work with it. Tape measure is supple. In other words, it can easily go around the lines of the seam of the armhole, which you've already put in, and we just measure all the way around that from seam to seam, or I should say from to the side seam, from seam to seam. Okay, I've already done it. My measurement is 18 inches. As you see on our printed information that I sent to you, it's going to say, first, of course, want you to fold the paper in half, and then to get that measurement, that 18-inch measurement, or whatever measurement. In other words, you're going to be anywhere from about 16 and a half to 18 inches probably in terms of your measurement of your circumference. Mine happens to be 18. So if I'm following the information here, it says measure the cap height down. So we've got to get the cap height. So in order to do that, the first thing we're going to do is to find out where is the cap going to be. This is going to be the cap or the top of your sleeve. So it's about 1 inch. We'll go down about 1 inch from the top of your paper here. So that's going to be the top of my sleeve. I'm going to measure, it says, of course, to take, equals 1/3 of the circumference. So, of course, that's going to be 1/3 of 18 is going to be 6 inches. So I'm going to go down 6 inches. Here we go. And mark it. That line, just like I put this, the top of the sleeve, a line for that one, I'm going to put this line here, and that's going to be called your biceps. So I'll label it bicep. Okay. Then, according to our directions, we've got to find out what is the length of the sleeve going to be. There's a table up at the top there, or to the right, you can see at the top. And for a size 6, which most of us have, it says 23 inches for the length. So that's what we're going to do. In the case of the paper that I have here, the pattern making paper, I can actually just count these boxes because they have labeled it actually so that their boxes are 1 inch apart. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll go all the way down, and then I'll go down to 23 inches. Now we're going to go down, measure the height down from the top of the sleeve. So we're going to go from the top of the sleeve, 23 inches. So this is 18, because that's the size of mine. 18, 1, 2. Here we are. It's my 23-inch mark. I'm going to put a line here, and that means then this is the bottom of the sleeve. Actually, what we call the wrist, right? That would be the bottom. The wrist. Okay, so now we have to also find out where our elbow is. So what you do is measure from the wrist up to the biceps. I have 17 inches. So half of 17 would be what, 8 and a half? 8 and a half, right? Now, normally, what we would do, if we have 8 and a half, we mark 8 and a half. But in this case, there are a lot of rules when you start doing this particular project, this particular sleeve. So actually, your elbow mark would be 1 inch above that 8 and a half. So then that would be your elbow mark. So we have our elbow. Okay, what next do we do? We have to find out, so again, this is half of the sleeve. So we have to go, we can go back to our information here where it says 3/4 of the armhole. It says the biceps circumference. That's around the biceps. This is the biceps right here. The biceps circumference is 3/4 of the armhole. So what we need to do is to take the 18 inches that we have and find 3/4 of an inch, 3/4 of it. So, an easy way to do that, you can just actually figure that yourself, but an easy way to do that is to actually take the measuring tape, mark, that's 1/2 right here, right, from my 18-inch mark, 1/2, and then I measure it again. I'm gonna come up with 3/4. So now that 3/4 would be representing all the way around the biceps. But since we're doing half of it at this point right here, we're gonna have to find half of that. So now we got 14.5 inches is 3/4 of 18. So then we have to make half of that again because we're gonna actually do the rest of this by actually tracing it on to the other side. Okay, so it's a lot of figuring in this, but this is it. After you do this, we're home free, okay? So we have 13.5, half of that is gonna be 6 3/4. So let's go from where we have already folded it to 6 3/4. Here we are. Let's make sure you get 6 3/4. That's very important to get the exact measurement. Okay, and we're just putting that line on the biceps line. Remember, it's on the biceps line. Okay, so now we're gonna go down here to the wrist and we're gonna figure what we need for that, which would be, well, let's say we're gonna do a jacket sleeve that we want it to be, on the bottom we want it to be 10 inches around. We could use that measurement, or if we want it to be a little bit larger, let's say we want it to be 10.5 inches, we could then go 5.5. So, or 11 inches, I should say, you could go 5.5. I'm gonna go for the 5 inches, which would be half of 10. I think that's the easiest way to do it. So where's my 5 inches? Here it is. That's half of my wrist. So now what I'm going to do is to connect the wrist to the biceps, this line. Again, you see all of this is your written material, but I'm just trying to make more sense for you. Okay, so we've gotten that far. As a matter of fact, what we're going to do is to continue that line all the way up. Then we're going to go down and just add an inch to that, as if it were if you were giving some seam allowance. It's not really seam allowance, but we need to put that in there because that's the line we're going to actually use to cut out our sleeve, cut out part of it anyway. Okay, so now we'll take our scissors and cut. It's a lot of work, I know, but you're gonna be proud of the results that you get. So just bear with me. All right, so we made that cut. Now, another thing we could do at this particular point is to actually take our ruler and continue the mark all the way over to the other side. So we got that done. All right, so I think we get to our next page at this point. So we said open the sleeve, we drew the, right. Okay, now we're interested now in making a cap. We want to shape the cap of the sleeve. It's getting to look a little bit more like a sleeve now. Let's put my little mark here too. So I'll have it. If you have a we'll do it this way. I think this is the best way to just go ahead and do it. Instead of using the tracing wheel, we could use the tracing wheel and put that from one to the other under, but I think this is better because we can. But again, you can do that if you want, because all we're doing is transferring one side to the other side. But now we're interested in actually making the cap of our sleeve. And this is what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do is to go in 5/8 of an inch from the biceps line, on the biceps line here, this line that we put, we're going to go 5/8 of an inch in on this side, the left side. Now on the right side, we're going to go in 1 1/2. Let's get that measurement right, Dawn. I sometimes forget. Okay, and about 1 3/4. Okay, because this is the front of the seam, so it's got to be 1 3/4. Okay, that's correct. So 5/8, 1 3/4. Now we also needed to put this line here, which is the cap, remember? Top, we're going to go all the way over on that side. We're just really taking lines from one side of the sleeve, or the half of the sleeve to the other. Okay, so, and also to make it easier for ourselves, let's put this center line here. So we have everything that we need. Now, we're going to go to the top, and we're going to measure over 2 inches on this side and 2 inches on this side of the center. All right. Once we do that, we're going to connect one line to the other, or one mark, I should say, to the other. Here, and this is on the 5/8. Remember, this is the 5/8 here. That's 1 3/4 there. And here we're going to be able to see the difference between the front and the back of the sleeve, because the front and the back of the sleeve are different, as we know. This is going to be the front side. So what we're going to do next is to take our curves. We can either use this curve or the other French curve, the larger French curve. I'm going to use this one, and I'll use the other one for the other side so you can see the difference. Okay. So we're going to take, as it's illustrated there, you'll be able to see it. We're going to lay one side of the curve. See how we're doing it this way? We're laying it on here, right? And we're going to go all the way over like that. Then we're going to take the other side. See, the whole idea is to make sure it hits at this particular point. But also inside, this was on the outside, right? Inside, we still got to make the cap, so let's just put it this way, on the inside. And we go on the inside over here. So as I said before, this becomes the front sleeve, front part of this sleeve, and this becomes the back. That's going to be very important for you to know. So that's why I'm labeling it. And we're going to go up 3 inches, 3 boxes here, and just put a cross mark. We know what a cross mark is, a 1/4 inch. And then about a 1/2 inch up from that, we're going to put another cross mark. So that shows us that that's the back. That gets 2 what we call notches, actually. The cross mark makes it become a notch. And we have a notch here, and of course we know where our center is. Okay, so actually we have now made the sleeve one piece of the sleeve, the one-piece sleeve. And after we cut this, this is where we're going to stop, and then we're going to start again for the balance of the sleeve. I think if you do this much right now, then you will be ready to go on from there. It's getting to look more like a sleeve now, as you can see. This down so you can see it better. You could actually use this if we were doing a one-piece sleeve, but we're not. So let's just rest a little while, and then we're going to get back to the second half of it.